Yeah, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Strikeout Bros, episode 20. The name of the episode is I'm Here to Help and Where Should I Start? What's going on, Lash? How's it going?
What's going on, man? We got a lot to get to. Trade deadline came and gone, and it's already 2.5 months to go before season's over.
Finally, I'm so happy about that trade deadline being over because it was driving me crazy. We spoke about this and we said that there was going to be a lot of, problems with that because we weren't going to see a lot of movement. And boy, we were wrong. Even the guys that were buying were selling. It was kind of crazy. Like it was definitely unexpected. I wasn't, even thinking it was gonna go down that way. And there was movement all over the league. The sellers were trying to get themselves better for the future. The guys that are running in the race right now made some moves. It's not what we expected. You know how it is. You always want the best, and you end up with something else. But it's okay. Listen, we're moving in the right direction, and that's what the general managers were thinking at the point where it went down. It ended yesterday around 6 o'clock. I remember, it going on till like the 31st today exactly. But things change. So now the deadline is July 30th, 6 p.m. shutdown, which I'm pretty glad that it's over. Because now we can move on and we can enjoy the rest of the season and watch this amazing races going on in the AL and NL with the wild card. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, definitely. Now, but the big guys that we're expecting get traded, the Skew Balls and the Garrett Crochets, all those guys did not get traded, and those teams are sellers, especially the Red Sox. I mean, the White Sox. But the days of tanking so you can get the best draft picks. Those days are over now because what MLB did is you no longer now there's a lottery. So at best, you in order to be in the top three, you have to be. I think it was the top five teams getting the lottery. The five worst records qualify for the lottery. So with that being said, even if you have the best record, doesn't guarantee. And so at best, you'll be picking the top, 10 and on. So the days of doing what Baltimore did and Houston and Chicago, where you just be suck for a couple years, but get the best prospects every year and load up the farm system, those days are over. So that was the loophole that Baltimore took advantage of. So now Chicago said, well, since we didn't trade these guys because no one's going to give us what we wanted, why don't we just get rid of players that we no longer have controllability and try to get prospects that way and keep the guys that we have and try to build up around them and then try again next year and see if they can get a better package. So I think that was Detroit's thinking. All these other teams who had big stars that we thought would get traded, they ended up not getting traded. In my opinion, I think the most head scratching trade was the San Diego Padres. They gave up so much for Tanner Scott. You better be able to resign him because they give the top. I think they said that they give the top three prospects in the farm system for Tanner Scott. He's great. He was good in Baltimore. The problem with him in Baltimore, he's not a flamethrower. He just had controllability issues and stuff, but he figured it out in Miami. So who knows what will happen in San Diego? But I think that was by far the worst trade, just because they gave up so much for not much.
Yeah,
I like what the Mets did. The Mets they were smart. They say, you know what, we are now a playoff contender. Let's keep the guys we have. Let's see if we can, keep the guys and see if we can keep the boat rolling. So far, it's working. They took 2 out of 3 from Minnesota and all that, so that's good. So I think the Mets are going to say we'll go for it. And Steve Cohen was right. Everyone thought I know I wrote him off as a rebuild team, but he said no, we're contenders. So he knew something that we didn't know. And so the Mets are in the running. So I guess I don't know. As a Mets fan, are you glad they didn't trade the McNeils of the world or the Alonzos?
yeah, I'm definitely happy. I feel like we have a shot. We've been playing really well, and like you said earlier, like everybody's trying to bolster their rosters, right? And they try to do it, the best way possible, and it's like not giving up too much, right? And you just said at San Diego, through the farm for this guy, right? For Tanner Scott, right? So you have to understand that San Diego, they have to live in a division where you have the Dodgers, and you already know how that is, right? So they're always going to win the division. These guys are kind of sneaking into a wild card. They're trying to make sure that they make a push, and they feel like they have a really good shot, and they made some changes, and I feel like they've been playing really well, and I'm kind of scared of them because they can totally, change that National League wild card situation, and I'm really scared of them. The last time we went to the playoffs, we got shut down by San Diego, so. I like what I see over there, and I like the fact that Little Brother is trying their best to stay afloat in that division. It's always hard to stay afloat in that division when it comes to the Dodgers being who they are. But you have to understand, there's approximately about 55 games left in the season, and the AL and NL wildcard standings keep changing on a daily basis. It's a flux, All you see is teams go up, go down. You can't really have a bad week because a bad week will really hurt you and put you right outside that box. So, you have to understand that, these people, the general managers, it's a lot of work for them, and this is why they get paid so much. And they have to put it together and kind of think, how can I make my team better without getting rid of so many prospects and getting rid of high tier prospects. So the thing about baseball is that it's a team sport, right? And you wouldn't think that single players could like really move the needle and change the dynamic of a team and make a big impact, right? It's kind of like with the Rangers. Remember the Rangers? The Rangers, they had all this great pitching. They had Scherzer, and when they made the move in the right before the deadline, and they picked up Jordan Montgomery. It's funny how he became a pivotal piece of that puzzle, and he. If it wasn't for him, I don't know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that. If it wasn't for him, it wouldn't have a championship. I'm gonna go out and say it. Right? And then you look at the Yankees, right? The Yankees made some moves, right? And you would think, all right, that one player isn't gonna really make a difference, but boy, I was wrong. So they picked up Al Leiter's nephew, right, Mark Leiter Jr., right, and he got off the plane, and a couple of hours later, he was pitching in the 10th. Pivotal moment in a baseball game against the almighty Phillies, right? And the Yankees swept the Phillies, which is pretty insane to me. Like Phillies tired, I think, and Phillies, they started off hard, and it's the complete opposite of what happened the last 2 years. They started off slow, and they ramped up, and they, with luck on their side, they were able to, ramp it up towards the end of the season. And now it seems like it's a seesaw effect where it's the other way around, right? And Al Leiter, excuse me, the nephew of Al Leiter came in, right? Mark Leiter Jr. He comes in the 10th, and he was pretty much lights out. He tossed the scoreless bottom of the 10th to help the Yankees win that game 7-6, and in the 12th inning. It's pretty intense, right? And then you have Jazz Chisholm Jr., right? Another guy that's making a huge impression out in the Bronx, right? So he's acquired, right, from the Marlins this past Saturday. He crushed 2 homers on Tuesday's night game, right? And he hit one in the 6th, he hit one in the 7th, and they were able to win 7-6 in that 12, inning matchup with the Phillies. It's pretty crazy. These two guys just came into the club and they made a huge difference in that game. And like you said, you always say to me, like, all right, if we're gonna make moves, we have to make sure that these prospects, when they leave, we still have controllability of the players that are coming towards the other side, right? So Chisholm is gonna be around till 2026 before they have to pay the guy again. So, and the thing about Chisholm is that yeah, he's a good player, but now it seems like he's an all-star all of a sudden. When you put that guy in the leadoff position, and then you have Soto and Judge behind that. Now we're seeing things, they look a little different over there now. And, the thing about Chisholm is that, he brings speed to the club. This is something the Yankees didn't have, all right? So right now at the moment, Chisholm is batting like 249. He has 22 steals. He has 17 home runs. And mind you, 17 home runs at this moment. Before he was traded, he only had 13. All right, so Chisholm became the first Yankee ever to hit 4 home runs in his first 3 games with the team. All right, and the Yankees, they've been around for 120 years, and no one has ever done that. All right, so this guy's already making a difference. And like I said, you would think that one player can't make a difference on the team, and guess what? Wrong again. This guy's making a difference. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. I know you don't want to talk about this right now, but these guys are coming for you. These guys are coming for you. These guys made some serious changes, and they want to stay afloat, and they want to battle Baltimore all the way to the end. That's all I'm saying. So
Yeah, no, definitely. I knew that was going to happen. I'd like to move for Chaz Chisholm. They need to put pressure on the bases. They don't run well, the Yankees, and that's why they got him. They don't. The only guy that can steal for the Yankees is Anthony Volpe, their shortstop. Besides him, there's no pressure on the pitching. They don't have to worry about someone stealing. The Soto, the Judges, Stanton's also big. They can't steal. Verdugo's slow. He's starting to fall off a little bit. DJ LeMahieu, he's been unproductive, but lately he just hit a 2-run home run today against Philadelphia, so he had a good game. But you can never count out the Yankees. And to be honest with you, I want it to be a tight race. I don't want it to be just a blowout like last year. It makes it more exciting. It makes it so that every game really matters. And if you're Baltimore, you can't. Baltimore's been in a slump lately, and so have the Yankees. That's
yeah, that's
why
what the
both
race
teams
is.
are.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's why it's still close. It's funny. Yeah, that's how it is. But it's crazy. Like think about it. Chisholm is the type of player that he's an outfielder. He's a second baseman, and they're thinking about. I read it today. They're thinking about just getting rid of DJ and placing Chisholm on third. So now this
makes
guy's like,
sense.
it makes sense, right? And the crazy thing about Chisholm is that now you have a utility player that has speed that can bat for good numbers at the top of the lineup. You know, so if those are the first three batters you're gonna face, man. You're gonna have to pitch, bro. You just can't load up the bases. You know what I'm saying? Like in the first inning, it's not gonna work anymore. You have to pitch to at least two of them. I don't know. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough for the opposing team now. I'm just saying. All right, and going back to that, does one player really make a difference? Tommy Pham, ex-man, ex-Chicago White Sox now, because he went back home to the St. Louis Cardinals, and he hit a pinch hit grand slam in his first game back with the Cardinals. How crazy is that? He's had two in his whole career, but he never hit one for St. Louis, which is pretty insane. Like Tommy Pham is a great hitter. I have to say, he's always been a great hitter and a great addition to any team. And hey, it's happening all over again. This guy can move, transition to a different team, and every single time he does, he's always there and he always produces. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, every one thing it's funny because Pham was with the Mets last year. Then the trade deadline, the Mets traded him to Arizona, and he was a big piece as to the success in helping helping the Diamondbacks reach the postseason. And he was good for the White Sox this year. Just he was on a crappy team,
Yeah.
and so it was an easy trade for the White Sox. There's a guy they knew. He tends to sign these 1-year deals where he's not, because he knows he's not in for a long-term deals. Nobody's gonna give him that one-term deal, but he's like this. He's like what I call like the emergency spark plug when you need your team to get going. You
Yeah.
put him in, when your team is fizzing, or for example, if the battery, like in the cars, needs a quick jump. That's what Tommy Pham is, and he produces. And it's funny because it's St. Louis Cardinals are like the Mets, in my opinion. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs just because I said, oh, wow, Milwaukee's good. They got Craig Counsell as the manager. I mean, yeah. No, they got they lost Counsell. He went to the
Yeah.
Cubs. I thought the Cubs were going to be good.
Yeah.
My
Too.
predictions are completely way off. Milwaukee's the pie. Milwaukee and St. Louis are the top two teams. Cubs have been disaster. So St. Louis is in the wild card. I think they're tied. There's a 3-way tie for that last spot with the Mets, the Diamondbacks, and the Cardinals for that last wild card, I believe. But anyway, so that was a good addition for them. They did get rid of they traded some pieces, but they didn't have to give up a lot. One thing I noticed about all these trades with all these teams is a lot of these teams played as smart this year. They didn't have to give up a lot, minus San Diego. And they got a decent amount of return. Like, all right. Baltimore, they kind of gave up a lot to get Tyler, to get Rogers, the pitcher, but hey, you gotta give up to get. So it's just the way it is. I liked Norby; he was a good prospect, but there's so many people that it would have been hard for him to get a replacement unless someone got hurt. So that's why they let him go. But either way,
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world. But every team that is in playoff contention, they really didn't have to give up a lot of top tier prospects to get, or when it comes to baseball trades in the regular season, the teams that are needing players to contend, they're always looking for a top notch name, big tier name guy. Whereas the teams that are selling, they're gonna sell you, they're looking for prospects. They don't care. You know what I mean? And if you're a seller, you like I said, if you're a seller, it's gonna be hard to sell the to get all those prospects in return. That's why the Cubs, that's why the White Sox and the Tigers were not successful in trading the star pitchers because they're just asking for way too much. And a lot of these teams that are in contention, some of them have prospects that, maybe they're good, but I don't know if they're gonna be elite level type of good. So, or they know they are and they don't want to get rid of them, like Spencer Jones of the Yankees or Jason Dominguez. Those guys. Like, there's no way I'm gonna give that up for a guy. I believe
For a
Screwball
rental.
and yeah. See, the problem is the guy on the White Sox. He's a moron in my opinion. Garrett Crochet. He told teams, "I'm not gonna pitch for you if you don't give me in the playoffs if you don't give me a contract." So basically,
Yeah.
you just screwed your whole team over from getting anybody because no team or organization gives out contracts in the middle of the season unless it's their star player. Even then, they don't do that. So
Yeah.
to come in there with a request like that and say, "Oh, you gotta pay me," first of all, look what happened last year with Baltimore. Imagine if they had given all that money to Flaherty. He was awful. They were smart. They traded him. Yeah, it was a horrible trade, but he didn't produce. What happens to Gaucher goes somewhere and he poops the bed and he doesn't do it? Now you just give him a massive contract and he's done terrible. So no team's
Yeah.
like, we're not going to trade for you. And because of that, Chicago kind of maybe lost on improving their farm system because of it. But
Yeah. It's
if
pretty
you're
crazy.
like them, it's like, well, might as well keep him. I got 2 more years of controllability. No, he's a free agent. So now, just all right, fine, we'll let you go, and it screws him over because now, actually, it doesn't screw. It's got to put more pressure because now he's got to really be lights out for them, so he gets that contract. So if he underperforms on a really bad team, guess what? He's not going to get that contract he's looking for. So it could turn into a big fat egg, but I like what the teams that say, all right, you want to be that way? Fine. We don't want you pitcher. We're not going to give you
Yeah.
the farm system. Even if we did give you a farm system, there's no way that we're not going to offer the guy the contract. So this is stupid.
Yeah, it's crazy because the guy, he's on like innings limitations because he used to be a reliever, right? He got hurt, and now he pretty much said if you trade me, I'm not gonna be available for the postseason unless I get an extension. So who wants that? Who wants that on the team? It's a headache. We're trying to win. We're trying to win here. We're not gonna negotiate, especially with 2 months left in baseball. Like it's kind of crazy. But
Yeah,
I
we didn't
agree.
require you to pitch 2 months and then say, okay, we're going to let you sit for the rest of the postseason. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's a
Are
waste
you
of time.
crazy? That's a waste of time. It's a waste of prospects. It's ridiculous. But of course, everybody, I feel like the Mets made some decent moves. Right now in the standings, like we were just talking about how St. Louis. St. Louis is a game and a half out of the wild card, and due to today's loss with the Mets, right, we're out right now. So if the season ended today, we wouldn't even be in the playoffs, which is pretty crazy. We're half a game out. San Diego keeps smashing the ball. They're playing really good baseball. Last 10, so San Diego, 8 out of the last 10. Where, like I said, there's a flux on a daily basis when it comes to this wild card on both sides, the American and the National League. So right now, the top three, Atlanta's there, and they're up by one against the Arizona, and then San Diego follows. So if the season ended today, Atlanta, San Diego, and Arizona would be in the wild card, and the Mets will be looking in. That's pretty crazy, right? So, like I said, you can't just win one, lose one, and it's crazy because the Mets won the series against Minnesota, but today I don't know what happened to Severino. He just didn't have it today, and that's fine. Say we're human, I understand that, but all that hard work, and imagine if the season ended today. I mean, listen, it's happened before. We seen the Mets. All they needed was one game, and they went into a series with Atlanta, and we couldn't win one game to make the postseason. That's pretty crazy. It's happened before, and I was talking to one of my friends today, and I kind of see the Mets not making it. Like I have this, because I'm a Met fan. I already know how things go. And we're going on a nice little ride. Granted, it's a great thing to be at the park now, and the energy in the ballpark, the fans are loving it. I'm loving it, but we have to play well the whole way through. 55 games is a lot of games, man, and we have to make sure we stay relevant, and we have to make sure we stay on top. Listen, a couple of days ago when we were playing Atlanta, we beat them in those first two games, and we were the number one seed in the wild card. And then Atlanta won the last two games in the series, and look at us now. We're not even in the playoffs as we speak. It's pretty insane, right? It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Mets schedule.
It's
So
tough.
I think your chances are it's gonna get harder
Oh yeah,
because I'm just gonna go over the next 2 weeks. You play the Angels, which is easy. Actually, you have a pretty good schedule. You have a really good West Coast trip. So you should on the West Coast trip. You have a 9-game West Coast trip. You have three against the Angels. You have a makeup day against the Cardinals. That's an important game, and then you
and
play
sweep up.
Colorado. So you
Yes,
got to sweep. You got to take. You got to either sweep the Angels or take 2 out of 3 from the Angels and sweep the Rockies, or take 2 out of 3, and then Seattle. Seattle is a playoff contender at the moment.
exactly.
So that's the end of the road trip, and then you come back and play the Oakland Athletics, the Marlins, and the Orioles. So the tough series, in my opinion, is the Orioles on the 19th,
No,
back in
that
City
series, yeah.
Field. So other than that, in my opinion, in those games, one. Let me see. Hold up. 3, 6, 9. You gotta go 8-3 because no, in the 9 game, no, it's a 10 game road trip, whatever it is, 10 or you gotta go like 7-3 or 8-2 basically on this road trip. That's gonna give you a big headway coming when you come back home to face the
The,
A's. So I
the
like the
A's, yeah.
chances if they can win these series or sweep any of these series. In my opinion, you got to sweep either the Angel series or the Rocky series. You might take 2 out of 3 from Seattle, but you got to sweep either one of those. If you sweep the Angels and the Rockies, man, that's going to be a big, tremendous help because the Cardinals might fall off. Arizona's getting hot now. They're like Texas last year.
Yep.
They got hot at the right time, so now you got to watch out for them. The Cardinals, they improved themselves in the trade deadline. So for the Mets, it doesn't start getting hard until the end of August. I'm looking at the schedule now. The end of August, you got San Diego, the Diamondbacks. You have, and then September, you go into your division play again. You go into the Boston, Cincinnati, Philadelphia's of the world. So September is going to be a tough month. So August is going to have to be your best month. You got to win at least 20 of these games in the month of August, in my opinion,
Nah, I
to
don't think
really make headway.
we're not gonna sweep anybody at this point. I feel like it's gonna be super hard. Okay, look at that. We started the after the All Star break. We went to Miami, right? And we won 2 out of 4. We split that series. It's like, okay, why is that happening? All right, now when we bump into Miami again, obviously, Miami has a completely different dynamic. They went super young, but that doesn't mean anything. Don't forget that these are all professional baseball teams. Now, the Seattle series, it's not going to be easy. The Oakland series, the Anaheim series, all right, cool. But that pivotal game against St. Louis is mandatory. I'm telling you that right now. If we can win the series, fine. But we're not gonna sweep anybody. I feel like, all right, let's see how this bullpen comes in. Like, listen, Severino's been hot, bro. And he finally fell apart. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not upset
He
at
did
him.
good today.
He did. No, he didn't. He didn't do so well today. He didn't do so well today.
Oh, they won the game.
We lost the
No,
game.
that's right. They lost it. I forgot. They
We
lost.
lost, bro. We lost, bro.
In
We took
his
care of
last
business.
outing, he did okay, right?
Yeah, he's been doing great, bro. But this is what happens. You win 3, 4 in a row, or you get the decisions, and then you have that bad start. I'm not hating on him. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be where we're at now. But you have to understand that, yeah, out of the 13 games since the All Star break, after coming back, we won 8 out of 13. All right, that's not a bad record. But look what happened. We went from the top of the wild card, and now we're not even in the playoffs as we speak. So something has to give. We have to figure it out.
It's gonna be wild. That's what it's for, the wild card, right? It's gonna be super wild. It's gonna go. It's gonna fluctuate day to day, and we're gonna pray that we're on the right side of the fence when the season ends. And gaining ground, I feel like it's impossible to gain ground right now because everybody's playing well. You know what I'm saying? And we're scoreboard watching already, and it's getting sickening. I'm watching the Phillies. Listen, and it's funny because the Phillies had a great, amazing lead, right? And now we're like 8 games back from the division, and and Atlanta's there too. But everybody's playing well right now. Everybody that's fighting for that wild card is playing well. San Diego's scary. I'm trying to tell you, and it's gonna be interesting. Let's see what happens. And they have amazing pitching. That Dylan Cease, man, what a guy, bro. Like he has like 10 wins. Yeah, he has like 10 wins. I think he's crazy. He leads the league in strikeouts, bro. Like it's pretty crazy. Yeah, he's 10-8. Dylan Cease. 168 Ks, ranks number one in the league. I don't know. We have to be careful. We have to play every game. Like it's a playoff series. It's pretty crazy. But let's talk about your little acquisitions. What do you think? And
Yeah,
then your
so
sleep. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, it's all right. Baltimore, they got pitchers. They got what I call, second tier starters, guys, or middle of the pack starters. They're not, a 1-2 punch guys, but they got starters that can be 3 and 4 guys in a 5 game series in the wild card, or in a 7 game series in a divisional round. So they're not big names, but Eflin had a good year last year with Tampa Bay. He was doing all right this year, but they saw the writing on the wall. They're like, we're not gonna make the playoffs. Let's get rid of him. And then Rogers, they got him from the Marlins. Both of these guys, I liked them because they were smart. They got guys that have controllability. The only guy they have that don't have controllability is Burns, but Burns was he was also a trade, but he was a off-season trade. But in my opinion, the reason why I think they made that trade, because I think they're going to resign him. You wouldn't make a big trade like that. And they probably knew you remember when they made the trade for Burns, the Orioles were not sold yet to the Rubensteins. That's the new owners at that firm group, the Rubenstein group. And by trading for him now, I think Baltimore went to trade for somebody they're not going to be able to re-sign. Now he is a Scott Boras client, but who knows? We'll see. He's having a good year in Baltimore, so maybe he'll come back to Baltimore. I don't know what he's going to be looking for, but if he gets them far into the playoffs, Baltimore's going to need an ace. Like, you know what? Let's sign this guy because it's going to be hard to get another ace. But these Rogers guys, they're good. They got relief help. They got some pitcher, relief pitcher.
Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Sir Anthony Dominguez, and then Gregory Soto. Both those guys had awful years at the end of the last year for Philadelphia. They struggled greatly, but who knows? Change of scenery can help them. Remember last year the Orioles got Aaron Hicks, and he had an amazing second half. So I'm hoping that change of scenery. They also got Eloy Jimenez. He's beyond the White Sox. It's crazy because 2019 he was having an amazing rookie year. They gave him a bunch of money, and ever since he's just either been hurt or just underperformed. So that was kind of a head scratching move. But it's to me he's not. He doesn't have a position. He's a bench player. Where's he gonna play? They don't have a position for him. So he'll play he'll hit when there's a lefty coming up, and that's all he's gonna do. Maybe he'll find himself. I don't know. But I was kind of sad they let go of Austin Hayes, but it's what it is. You gotta give to get, and that's who in Austin Hayes. But it's what it is. So who knows? We'll see how they do. Eflin did have his first game with the Orioles. He had a great outing. Rogers hasn't started yet. I'm guessing he's going to pitch against Cleveland in this 4-game series. I'm thinking he's going to go tomorrow. He's not. Then it's not out yet if he's going to start tomorrow. But my guess would be tomorrow. So who knows? But like I said, I was hoping they would go. See, Baltimore is kind of smart. Me as a fan, we thought, go all in. But Baltimore realized, we worked so hard to build up this farm system. Get these players, get these strong players. You build it up just for what, just to go all in, and then what happens if it doesn't work out? You don't win. Now you lost all those great players, and now it's like now we got to restart the farm system again. They're just at the beginning stages of being a serious contenders for the playoffs. It's too early, for my opinion, to say World Series contender. I just think they have struggles, but who knows? With these guys they just acquired in the rotation, they might have lights out, change of scenery. It's hard to tell with Eflon and Rogers because they played on horrible teams, so they didn't get a majority of their wins. They both have ERAs above 3, so that's kind of annoying because it's like, well, if you're giving up 4 runs a game, yeah, Baltimore is a good team. They can score about 6 runs a game. Fine, you might get by, but problem is if you have short outings, now you're going to be blowing through the bullpen. Orioles bullpen is a mess. I'm hoping that maybe Soto or Sir Anthony Dominguez can be the closer for Baltimore because they have no faith in Kimbrel. Neither do I. So they got what I needed, which was a starting pitchers and relief. So do they meet the needs? Yes. Was it the guys that you expected? No. But this is what makes a smart team. This is what smart teams do. This is not, like the teams of the past, like, when the Wilpons owned the Mets, the Wilpons would fall to the fans' demands and, get suckered in by the fans. Like, yeah, we got to sign Cespedes because he's great. And they fell for it and they gave him all that money and he didn't underperform. Or the Jason Bays of the world, or all these other guys. I'm just using the Mets as an example, but there are organizations who do, and then they go all in. They go all in on a player, and then the guy doesn't even do anything. It's just like, so Baltimore's like, nah, we worked really hard. We built up the farm system. Let's keep what we have. Let's keep developing these guys. It's like you work so hard, right? For let's say you built that house. You work so hard. You want to live in that house. You built it. You don't want to be like, well, I built this house by hand, but I'm gonna just sell it to somebody because I don't want it. It's like, why'd you build a house anyway if you're not gonna live in it? That's the concept. So I think that's what Baltimore is thinking. So who knows? It'll be interesting. Like I said, is it great moves? It's okay. I'd give their trade deadline moves a B minus at best.
Okay, that's not bad. Listen, you guys are great already, all right? So adding these couple of pieces to fix the rotation and fix the bullpen somewhat, like you said, you never know what you're gonna get. It's like buying a lottery ticket, all right? You give away something and then you hope that what you get in return works out for you. It's the same with the Mets. Listen, right now, at this moment, I've become a really big, Stearns advocate. I feel like he knows what he's doing. He has an amazing mind, and he knows how to put pieces together. All right, when a lot of these guys weren't household names when at the beginning of the season, and now look what's happening. Everybody's contributing, and the pieces fit. All right, so I'm hoping that Stern still has it. Late in the season, and he made the right moves. Listen, Senga came back. He had an amazing outing. He falls apart, and it's funny because it's similar to, Jackson Holiday. He came up earlier this season. He didn't do so well, so they sent him back downstairs. And then, listen, after all those acquisitions you guys got, you bring Jackson Holiday back up, and what does he do today? He hits the grand slam. So it's all about time and spacing it out and figuring out what you need to fill the voids, right? So I'm hoping that Stearns knows what he's doing, and I believe in him. I think that not selling was a great idea. I think that we have a shot, and hopefully it works out for us. And I think that the moves that we made, like we said, you don't want to get rid of 20 prospects. I was reading rumors about Acuna, Luis Angel Acuna, going somewhere, and I was like, what are they talking about? We don't want to get rid of that guy. We don't want to get rid of any of our prospects, especially the good ones. If we're gonna work with, you want to get something, you have to, find something that's gonna fill the hole at the moment. Something that's gonna fix the situation, but you don't want to go crazy, because it's not guaranteed that we'll make the playoffs, but at least we gave it a shot. This is what I'm talking about. So yeah, we picked up. We had problems with the rotation because we lost Senga. Christian Scott got hurt. He's still in development stages. He's trying to figure it out. I think he's going to be a great starting pitcher in the near future, but he's not ready yet. It's kind of like what happened to Jackson Holiday when he first came up. He just couldn't figure it out, right? Okay, that's fine. But I think eventually he's going to become that starter that, we all want, and every team looks at us and says, "Damn," pretty much what Paul Skeens is. Paul Skeens came in and he's ready to. He came in and he said, "I'm not leaving. I'm here to stay." So hopefully that happens to Christian Scott. He got hurt, Senga got hurt, and now we needed to find something to work with, right? So we ended up getting Paul Blackburn from the A's. The A's were definitely selling. So hopefully that guy works out for us. He's not so bad. Let's see what happens when he comes to New York and he's playing for a team that is trying to go somewhere. And we had bullpen problems, and we had Nunez. Nunez was doing great for us, and he ends up getting hurt too. Davino's tired. So now we have to kind of like rebuild our bullpen, and we have to try to figure out, what their roles are gonna be in that situation, and when are we gonna bring them in, and in what situations. But listen, I trust Stearns. I think that he's a genius, and to say the least, right? And I think that not getting rid of Alonso and being crazy and just let him go because we know that he's on a walk year, and he's a Scott Boras client too. So he's not just gonna stick around and say, "Yeah, sure, I'll take that." It's pretty obvious because the Mets did offer him some money. He didn't like the number, so he's definitely gonna be walking, and we're gonna have to deal with other teams that are interested in picking up Alonso, and that's fine. Listen, but at least we know that right now Alonso could be dangerous in a playoff situation, and he's not an all-star, you know, caliber type player, but he has the most home runs since he's joined the league. So we're gonna leave it at that, right? And like I said, hopefully it works out for us. We've been playing well. We're trying our best, and we hope this shit works out for us. I hope it works out for us.
Yeah, and then quickly, and as far as the division goes, Atlanta, the only move they didn't do much. The only move they made was they got Jorge Soler.
Go ahead back,
He
yeah.
he got him back. He helped. He was a big piece on
That World Series
Atlanta's
championship.
success in the World Series in 21.
Yeah.
They got him just to help out, rotate him with Duvall in the outfield, Acuna being gone. So who knows how he or yes, I don't know if he'll play outfield or be a DH, but either way, he's a spark in the bat. They have been minus Riley and Olson. They they've been having trouble producing runs lately. This road trip so far is starting out well. Uh, they won against Milwaukee today. Both Darnold and Matt Olson both hit back-to-back home runs twice in the same game. That's pretty impressive.
That's pretty
So
crazy.
they just smashed the crap out of the Milwaukee Brewers. But they come back home now, which is they struggled. They had a rough road trip. I'm not gonna lie, but it's good to see they come home. I might try to go to a game this week. Who knows? But either way, Atlanta's right there, and if what killed the Mets is losing the last two in that 4-game series. Because even
I
if the
agree.
Mets taking 3 out of 4, that puts a lot of pressure on the Braves. And I was feeling it talking to fans at work. I was talking to one of my friends, and we're like, I think they should sell because they're just struggling. They don't have the pitching. They don't have the
No.
bullpen help. And I was like, man, they're struggling against the Mets, and and the Mets are a lot better than the big when they first placed them this year. But
Yes.
it's just like I don't know what to do. This is a hot mess. But they won 2 out of 3, and they got a little spark, and they
No,
kind of
no. There was a 4-game series, bro. And the
yeah.
Mets took the first two, and they took the last two. And
And the
that's
Mets
crazy.
took, and they didn't just take the first 2; they beat them up. So it's not like
Yeah,
they
they
just
did.
won 1-0.
No, they beat them up. But the funny thing about it is, I always say that if you're gonna play in a 4-game series, you always want to take the last two. I'm gonna take the last two and take the first two. You know what? Because this way the standings look a little better. Like I said, in the first after we took those first 2 games from them, we were the number one seed in the wild card. And look what happened at the end of that series. We were at the bottom of it. It's just funny how that works, man. And Atlanta, they know how to do it to the Mets. And selling wouldn't be the way to go for Atlanta. Listen, they were able to win a championship without Acuna. You know what I'm saying? They'll figure it out. They're not easy to run through. It's not that type of day. It's serious over there. I don't care how many injuries they have. They're gonna play baseball. And like, listen, I told you we won 8 out of 13. It's just, and we went on a 5-game winning streak too. That's the crazy part. Prior to losing those 2 games, we won. We had to play the Marlins, right? So we lost We won the last one in that 4 game series. We split that series, but we won the last one. Then we went to the Bronx and we destroyed those guys over there, right? So that was three. And then we ended up playing Atlanta, winning the first two. That was five. And then we lost two in a row. And look what happened. It's crazy. And then we take, two out of three against the Minnesota Twins and forget about it. That was a 2 game winning streak. And then we lost the last one. And now we're not in the playoffs. It's pretty crazy. But this is how it's gonna be for the rest of the season. 55 games is a short season. That's like a COVID season if you think about it. All right, it's
Yep.
like it's a little short race now. Now it's like a little short race.
It went from a marathon to a 100-yard dash,
Yeah,
a
pretty.
sprint.
Yeah,
It's
and
going to be a sprint, and the key thing now going down the stretch is can your team remain healthy? And that's another reason why I was thinking they should move the trade deadline back because there were so many teams that were more buyers than sellers that if you had waited 2 more weeks, you would have been able to see, all right, we know for sure, okay, we're not going to make it. We don't have a chance. Let's just sell, see what we can do next year. But because there's so many teams that are, look at the NL league. They have 3 teams competing for the third wild card spot right now, and they're all tied with the same record, if not, or 1 game apart, not even
yeah, not even half a game here and there.
half a game. So all those teams are buyers. So it's like, well, what are we gonna do? So if you move the trade deadline back, because the thing is think about it, the trade deadline is literally like 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks from post the All Star game, not even. And so the teams are just starting to get revamped up. So you haven't even played enough series to see like, all right, let's say, like for example, Baltimore, they went 1-5 last week. They lost 2 out of 3 to Miami. They lost 2 out of 3 to San Diego. Let's just say they played awful against Toronto this week and they played bad against Cleveland, right? Now, if you move the trade deadline to August 15th, guess what? You already know, okay, let's just sell. Forget about it. We're not going to make the mistake and get someone because we already know, okay, things are falling apart. We're struggling. Or you're doing really well. I'm like, okay, we're doing so well. We just need one more starter. You know what? We can get there. But see, teams like Baltimore and the teams that are in the playoff contention, or the Yankees, you got to ask yourself this question. Do we really think we can make the World Series? And if we get this guy, is he going to bring us there and over the top, meaning win the World Series? And the answer is no. Then don't pull the trigger on the trade. And I think that's what a lot of teams did with the big guys that were projected to be traded, the Screwballs and Crochets and all these other big name pitchers or hitters that were available. So I think if you move the trade deadline to middle of August, you have more teams that you can really look at reassess yourself like we're really not contenders because right now it's hard to tell who's a pretender and who's a contender right now because everyone thinks they're a contender because that second half just started. You know what I mean? You've only played 6 games since the All-Star game, maybe 9. I think it's 9 games. You can't. It's hard to get a sauce. You can't be like, all right, we're for sure. But you get a month in. That's what they should do. Make the trade deadline a month from the All-Star game. So if the All-Star game is July 12th every year, August 12th is now the trade deadline. That gives you a month to see how your team does. If in that month you have a great first, if you do well in that month, you'll be like, okay, we're contenders. Let's buy. You know what? We're not contenders. Let's just sell. Or we're contenders, but we know we're not going to get that. We're not going to go over the hump, even if we acquire this guy. So let's just see where the wind takes us and just go for it. But let's not break the bank just for the what if. You got to know for sure. When you make trade for a big player like that, you got to know for sure. I know for sure that I'm going to make the World Series.
No, but
The Texas Rangers know that they're going to make the World Series. I don't think so, but they had a good idea because they had the star pitching and the offense. That's why they made those trades.
No, but you can't say that. You can't say that because see, I understand what you're saying, right? But now, you have to break up the season, right, into like parts, right? So you have the first half, and it's not literally a first half. It's like 2 parts of the season because you got the All Star break, you get a week off, right? So getting up to that line at the All Star break, you just say, all right, how are we looking? Are we looking good enough, or do we look like we can, get somewhere? So you have, at that point, you have an idea of what your team is capable of doing because you go through ups and downs through the season, right? And you get to that halfway mark, and you say, all right, I think we have a shot. We've been playing really well. Yeah, we had a hiccup here and there, but for the most part, we've been playing well. And then you have that second half. That second half is a little shorter than the first half. And in that second half, you're thinking about, all right, where are we struggling? What do we need to fix, right? So you want to be able to fix that as soon as possible and plug the holes. So this way you can go into that second half, that short season we just finished talking about. So you want these guys to say, all right, we plugged the holes. We were decent already, and now we should be a little better, and we should be able to get over the hump, right? And then once you get to the playoffs, right? Remember, listen, I'm a guy that says, all right, back in the day, a couple of years ago, I used to say, man, if you spend all the money, right, and you have all the biggest stars, you're guaranteed. And that's not true now. That is not true. All right, the Dodgers always spend a lot of money. Yeah, guaranteed to make the playoffs. The Yankees used to spend a lot of money all the time, all right, and they were guaranteed to make the playoffs. But that doesn't mean a guaranteed championship, right? So you kind of have to like reset. So once you get into the playoffs, whether it's a wild card situation or you're number one in the division, that means nothing because now you have to reset and kind of like start all over again. Because you have to have that kind of mindset because you can't say, yeah, we spent the most money, we won 102 games, we won the division when nobody can beat us. That's a lie because now the stakes are a little different, right? And when you go into these series, it's a short series, you know what I'm saying? So like every little thing you do in that series counts. Everything is pivotal. Everything is serious. All right. You make a mistake, you throw the wrong way, your pitcher goes out there and he's not doing well, and you keep him in for too long, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. It's completely different from a guy that you say, all right, I'm playing a 4-game series against these Marlins, right? We're supposed to beat them mathematically because we have a better team, but that's not the case in baseball, right? So now you're saying this is the first game of the series. I don't want to implode, my bullpen because it's the first game of the series, and we're gonna have to use these guys in the bullpen a whole lot. And the opposing team is going to see this bullpen multiple times over this 4-day course. So you don't want to do that. So you keep this guy in, you keep your starter in, and you let him suffer and hurt his ERA for an extra 2 innings, and they get another 5 runs on you. That hurts the pitcher, because he loses confidence. Yeah, you saved your bullpen, but for what though? You can't do that in a playoff series. So I like the fact that it happens right after the All Star game because this way you can plug your holes and figure out what's wrong with your team and try to fix it so you can move forward and go into the second half. It's the reset. It's the reset. It's the reset for me. And then as soon as you hit the playoffs and you make it, no matter how you make it, you have to reset again and say, all right, how are we going to attack this team that's in front of us right now? And every time you get to the next level, you have to reset again and come through with a new plan, because with all the tape that they're watching and all this stuff, you have to reinvent yourself every couple of, steps. And this is why I think that it's okay, for these guys to, have the deadline and for it to be so close to after the All Star break. I think it's, a moment in the season where things need to change. You know, they knew they. You see how every team in contention made moves because they know. Just because you're good doesn't mean you can't be better. But that's just my opinion, and that's why I love this show. Because you have yours, I respect your opinions, but I hope you respect mine as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. I do like your opinions. There's you viewed things different than I do, and that's a good thing. It'd be boring if we both had the same views or ideas.
It would be boring.
That's boring. That's not how you. The show would be boring. Hey, no one would listen to the show if we
Yeah.
all agreed on something. It's like that's not what it's about. The
No.
only time you want to agree on something is if you're working on something to complete a task. That's when you need to be on the same page. So we're working on a project. We need to get it done. We're gonna come to agreement on how to do it together the right way. You know what I mean? When I'm like, well, I'm gonna do it this way. Well, you should do it that way. Then that's
Yeah.
the problem. But in a show like a talk show like this or a podcast, that's what radio hosts do on sports talk shows. On ESPN and all that. Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smiths of the world. That's what they do. Shannon Sharps, that's what they do. They don't go on and say, hey, I'm going to have the same opinion as you. Well, what's the point of a talk show if you're not going to have differences?
Yeah, it's
But
true.
anyway, so it's I can't believe it. Season's almost coming to an end. I'm kind of sad because I've kind of lost love for football. Football's just not the same as it used to be growing up. And baseball, yeah, the baseball season is long, and it's hard when your team is not competing or just not in it. So it's hard, to stay with your teams. I know for years you felt like that. Oh, the Mets are terrible. Why am I watching? This is stupid. But now, now they're here and the results are there. And years past, I think the Mets would have just tanked and just to forget about it, and the Wilpons would have not made this um, the change they needed to. They would just stay stagnant and just say, well, whatever. But the new guy Cohen knows what he's doing, and so I think he knows something that we don't know. And if the Mets make the playoffs, that'll be great, and they didn't have to give up a lot to get to the playoffs. If they see for the Mets, if they make the playoffs, that's a winning season because no one predicted them to
Exactly.
win the
Listen,
playoffs.
it's already
You
a winning
know?
season. It's already a win. You know why? Because
Yeah.
I'm still watching and I'm still happy and I like what's happening. So it's a winning season for me already because this far out into the season, I'm still interested in what's going on. All right. I can't remember the last time that happened. It's not because I'm doing a baseball podcast and this is our first season. It's not about that. It's about it's interesting baseball. I get to actually tune in and say, this team is doing well. I like what's happening over there. I'm still going to games, this late in the season. And I say this late in the season because, the Mets usually, they poop the bed really early. Listen, it almost happened to us. And then all of a sudden we had this spark and we turned it around. And listen, the stadium is packed these days, and we're doing well. And it's fun to be in that situation, Even if we don't make it, we had a good run and it was a fun, exciting season for me. I enjoyed it. And if they tank and they fall apart, I still have your team, the Orioles, because I picked those guys to make it all the way from the beginning of the season, and I definitely don't want the Yankees there. And if they do make it, it's gonna be a battle. And remember, if one makes it and wins the division, the other team is gonna be a wild card. And if they end up fighting in the playoffs, that's gonna be even more exciting. So I have stuff to look forward to. But I would love for my team to be in it too. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah,
So
there's gonna be in my opinion, based on the NL division, it looks like there's gonna be at least in the playoffs, there's gonna be from one of those teams in the NL divisions where three teams are represented from one of those divisions. So you might have three teams. You're definitely gonna have three teams from the NL East, and you might
mhm.
have three teams from the NL West represented in the playoffs. In the same thing. No, it's not like that in the AL because in the AL you'll probably have two teams from the
No, you're gonna have
East. You
three because Boston is fighting for that wild card, right?
Boston,
And
true.
so is no, they're in that race, bro. And then you have Baltimore and the Yankees, so you can have three coming out of there for sure.
You have one
Even
coming out of the Central in the
and
AL Central,
uh,
and the West. Actually, in the West, it's a three-team race because you got Texas, Houston, and Seattle all vying. So
yeah,
you can have at least three teams from. You're gonna have multiple divisions where you have three teams represented
yeah,
from the one division.
definitely. Because look, Atlanta, the Phillies, and if the Mets make it, that's three right there as well. And then the Dodgers are gonna make it. San Diego can make it as well. So it's gonna be interesting. And Arizona, is it Arizona? Where's it? No,
They're the third wild card spot. They're
yeah,
tied.
yeah. They're exactly. So listen, it can happen. It can happen. It's gonna be interesting to watch. It can definitely happen. So coming down to it, we're coming to the end of our show. So, we're gonna give our awards out. Our pitcher of the week didn't cease. Everybody that watches baseball knows what happened. He pitched a no-no, went 9 full innings, struck out nine, and he's 10-8 now with a 3.50 ERA. And like I said earlier, he leads the league in the Ks. He has 168 Ks. Pretty amazing. And then our hitter of the week, last week we had Jordan Alvarez who went for the cycle. And this guy this week, man, Tampa Bay's Brandon Lowe, 4 for 4 with a home run, two doubles, two walks, and three RBIs, beating Toronto 13-0. Insane. That's just as good as that cycle. Listen, I don't know. I kind of want to say that this guy hit better than that guy for the cycle. If you think about it,
Yeah,
two
it's pretty
doubles, a
close
home
to it. That's
run,
pretty good.
2 walks, 3 RBIs. Yeah, that's pretty close to what that guy did. But of course, you know how hard it is to hit for the cycle. But Brandon Lowe, that's pretty crazy. So he went up 6 times, bro, and he got on base 6 times. All right, that's pretty crazy.
Basically.
Yeah, basically, because my dad always says a walk is a hit. So he did that twice. And
Well, getting up, I think I don't know. I don't agree with that. I agree with. I don't know if it's not a hit, but it gets you a player on. You get a man on
on
base.
base, exactly. It's not an
So
out. That's for
yeah,
sure. It's not an out. So it's a hit.
no,
It's not an out.
that's
If you get a
yeah,
man on base, you know what I'm saying? So if I come up to bat, I have a good eye and I don't let the pitcher beat me, and I get on base based on his mistakes, and this man on first with no outs, and the next guy's up to bat, guess what, man? That's a hit, bro. I know what you're saying. Technically, it's not a hit, but yo, if you got a man on first with no outs based on a walk, yeah, listen, that's how you win games. You know what I'm saying? That's the other aspect of the game where you have to be savvy and you have to be patient, right?
yeah. No, that's true.
You know,
Definitely gotta be patient.
you gotta be patient. But check this out, though. I have a question for you, the trivia question of the week. It's a Baltimore Oriole, West trivia question. I don't think you're gonna get it, but you never know because you're a genius. So here we go. Which Baltimore pitcher won 25 games in a season? And I know what you're gonna say, and I'm gonna tell you right now,
It's
wrong.
not him.
Exactly. And you
Oh,
know what? You know what I'm
jeez,
gonna do for you?
25 games. Wait, don't give me any hints
No, no,
because
I'm
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
just
give you
run
any
through.
hints. I'm not gonna give you any hints, but I'm gonna give you 3 chances to guess. Okay?
Well, the first guy I was gonna think of was gonna be Mike
Like
Messina,
Mustina, I knew, and like I
but it's
said,
not him. So my next game would be either uh, Jim Palmer or
oh,
Eric Bedard. I
bro,
don't know.
nah, you're wrong. This is before your time, but I figured that since it's an amazing stat that you would probably know it, But the guy's name was Steve Stone. Sounds like a wrestler to me, but
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, but Steve
Stone
Stone,
Cold Steve Austin's
yeah,
cousin.
exactly, But 25 games, right? 37 starts in 1980. That's insane, right? 37 starts, he wins 25. That's crazy.
Wow, I didn't know that. I
Yeah, but
like I
now
said, I
you
started
know.
following the Orioles in the late '90s. Like I said, my first ever baseball game was an Orioles game. I remember it to this day. They played the White Sox? This is like in the maybe it was early 2000s. It was probably early. No, it was. I don't know. I don't. No, Cowboy wasn't playing anymore. I remember because they had It was when they had Melvin Moore, B.J. Stroff, all these other guys. Bunch of So it was in the late '90s, it was early 2000s. I want to say 2001, 2000, 2003. That was my first game in Baltimore, and that's how I became a fan. But anyway, yes, I don't remember him.
Yeah, that's a while ago. But anyway, that's an amazing feat, though. But we're coming
Yeah,
to the
that
end of the
is.
show, and I was just gonna say thank you for showing up and listening. And I think we had a good one today. It was pretty decent. And good luck to both of us. We're gonna need it. And have a good night, guys.
Later, bro.